So I wanted to hop on here because I had a really interesting interaction earlier this week. I am really involved in my Buy Nothing, Sell Nothing group. For those that don't know about it, it's an amazing group. It's free to join. Go on Facebook and in your white search bar, type in Buy Nothing, Sell Nothing, and then look for your specific zip code. It's often like intersections, little pockets of streets and communities. It's what really helped me build relationships with people during the pandemic. I got to know my neighbors, my community, people in the subdivision, and it's been honestly a great experience. I highly encourage if you are seeking community, if you have stuff that you want to upcycle, can really be anything. Wednesday's a really big deal in the community for Wish Wednesday. And so if you have things that you want to get rid of, you can just post on there. People can do a porch pickup. And so I wanted to share my unique, interesting, kind of odd experience with a recent Buy Nothing, Sell Nothing. And so I was working and I saw this image that popped up. It was a picture, it was framed, and it was basically an image of two people, but it was like almost this deeper image of people. They were holding each other. You could see their brain, their like vessels, their, I guess, all of like the intricacies of their body, their nervous system. That really stood out to me because for me as a therapist, I do a lot of brain spotting. I work a lot with the brain, and I had the perfect place for it in my office. So other people commented. I didn't think anything of it. I just said, "Hey, I'm interested. I can pick it up if needed today." And I didn't hear back. It was later in the evening. I get this message and it says, "Hey, can you pick it up today?" I'm like, "Absolutely, sure." It's somebody that I never met, somebody that I never interacted with. So I didn't know where they lived. And turns out they're about 5 minutes up the road. And so typically how it's done is you send a message, they give you their address, you pick it up and you leave. And so I was experiencing like maybe that's the expectation. You never know, right? So I get the message and they ask, "Hey, can you pick it up today?" And I say, "Yeah, sure. What's your address?" Didn't hear back. At this point, I'm already driving home with my little. So to unbuckle the car seat, get him out, all the stuff. It's like, "Hey, are we going to do this or not?" So I call, it rings and rings and rings. Facebook phone calls are kind of weird. It's like a really loud ringtone. They didn't pick up, but as soon as I hung up, the address got sent to me. And so I put it in Google Maps, headed that way. And when I pulled up, I went out and I walked to the door. I double checked, like the address on the door to the address that's in my phone, and it's not there. So, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. As I was leaving, my back was turned towards the door. I was headed back to my car. I hear the door kind of creak open, and you kind of just see almost like half of her face, and then like the picture, like she darts out and gives it. The picture is a lot bigger than I expected. And so I'm like, "Wow, thank you." So I was telling them, "Thank you so much for this picture. I plan to hang it in my office. I'm a therapist, blah, blah, blah." And she pauses and she looks at me and it's quiet. And I look back at her. I don't know who she is. I don't know anything about her other than I'm saying thank you. And she looks at me and she pauses, and there's this eerie silence. Like the thing that you feel in your gut, you're like, this doesn't feel right, but I'm already here. I'm here to get the picture, get in, get out. And she pauses and she looks at me and she says, "Yeah, you're going to need to cleanse that. You're going to need to purge it or smudge it or whatever the phrase is. I'm not really sure. I'm not familiar with that terminology." She's like, "There's a lot of bad energy and like weird spirits with it." And then she leaves. And then I have this picture and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this now because I don't want it. Clearly, there's something going on. Did this picture, was it on the wall during a crime? Did it witness some tragedy? I don't know what it was about that experience. It was really odd. It was very unique too. Because then, as I had this picture, the thought was, do I just leave it on the porch and leave? Do I take it with me? Will they be offended? I'm going through this list of things that don't even make sense at this point. And, as I leave, I get the picture, I put in my car, and I already sense that this picture has something. It has a negative energy, it has some type of evil thing or entity that is attached to it. And do I believe that has power over me? No. But I sensed it right in my core. If I could just like show you like my chest, if this was like a circle, the image I got as I held this piece of art is that it just felt like an endless dark tunnel and it led nowhere, but there was just deep sadness and pain to it. So the picture in itself had this very heavy energy. I know this because when I feel this in therapy as a therapist, it often is an energy that I experience when a client has, given me some information about their life and explained something that's a deep trauma or tragedy. Maybe it is, an SA or, a resurfacing of something that happened to them that took their innocence, or it's even just something really dark about their life that they want me to know. That was the exact same feeling I got as soon as I touched this piece of framed artwork and brought it to my car. So in my head, I was getting ready to leave. I kind of put it in the back of my seat and I had a moment to pray a little bit. And then as I was headed out, she pops up to my car window and she says something else. She's like, "Hey, let me know if you find anything weird behind it." Okay. At this point, it's a solid confirmation that this art does not belong into my house. It doesn't need to be part of the energy because I'm very mindful also just as a therapist about the energy that comes in and the energy that leaves because I feel a lot. I'm an empath, so I feel a lot of the things. My neuroception in my nervous system is always scanning for safety or connection, and it just felt like a moment of disconnect. So I didn't want to bring this piece of artwork into my home. And the feeling that I had during that 5-minute drive back, it was very dark. It was very heavy. There was a sense of deep sadness and it was this like heavy pressure. I don't know how else to describe it other than it felt really heavy, dark. And I knew that I couldn't take this back to my house. And so as I was driving, you know, that movie Lord of the Rings where you get the ring and you can hear like my precious and like, I didn't have time to like figure out how to go to Mordor and get rid of this painting. But what I did was I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I realized I couldn't bring it into my house because whatever it was, I didn't want that energy. So I went ahead and I took it to the dumpster. I dumped it. I said a quick prayer asking that it gets destroyed in the ways that it needs to, that it doesn't find anybody, that nobody brings it intentionally into their household, you know, and do I believe that certain things have power over people? Absolutely not. I believe that things can be portals to other things that we do not see in this life. I believe that the things that we watch, the things that we hear, the things that we hold, the things that we use in our household, there's things like that that can really translate into things that I don't choose to dabble with or choose to mess with. And so, this was one of the interesting stories that happened to me this week. I highly encourage you that when you're buying something or placing something in your house or picking something up on a buy nothing group or whatever it is, really listen to what's happening. Your body is going to tell you what it is. And, I always say facts over feelings, but the feeling that I had, that was my conscious talking to me. That was something that I knew wasn't aligned with who I am as a person. Could I have prayed over this artwork or smudged it or whatever? Maybe. I just didn't want to risk it though. So, my question to you is how do you protect your energy? How do you protect your inner peace? How do you create a safe haven within your home? And have you ever experienced something similar? I'm really curious. If you can comment below, I have other stories around how I brought things to my house and things have happened. And so I'm happy to share that in another video. But my name is Shanazi Kone. I am a licensed professional therapist, speaker, consultant. I'm here to cheer you on whatever is happening in your life. Remember that you are loved, that you are worthy, and that you are valuable.